I work a minimum of 45 weeks a year. Okay? That's 450 hours of television minimum. Doesn't count SportsCenter. Doesn't count NBA Countdown. Doesn't count all of these other obligations that I have. I am quite sure you can find tapes of me being critical.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I can find just as many, if not more, of me being complimentary.
Stephen A., how do you know all this? Like your brain, bro, is you like AI. Like you pull up all the information and you back it up. You know what's wild about that, man, is people say the bigger the star, the bigger the target. Mm-hmm. You know, like you could have just did the whole shut up on many of things, but that's never been in your character.
Right.
Like you'll meet something head on. You could say, you know, unpopular opinions. Mm-hmm. And have you always been that guy? And you know how to align yourself with people too. That's like, hey, that's my guy. Yeah. That's my girl, whoever it may be.
Right.
Have you always been that guy?
Yeah. I'm a mission-minded dude. I pride myself in being a man of integrity. I'm not perfect. I'm certainly not flawless, and I know that. But I like people to look at me and know that what you see is what you get. Mm-hmm. I don't like phonies. I can't stand a two-faced at best. They make me sick. I don't give a damn who they are. I don't like them because I don't like being with people who are inauthentic. I don't like being around people like that. That bothers me. I can't be bothered by somebody or something or a quality in a person and then turn around and be the very thing that I abhor. And so I pride myself on being that kind of guy. But when it comes to this business, it's like, you know, I remember when I saw people, you know, they had problems with some of my NBA stuff. I remember last year it was a big deal, you know, Wallow and Gilly. I remember Gilly got on me because I was covering NBA Countdown for ESPN last year, and I like Gilly. Please, I'm not saying anything negative about him. I like him a lot. I got a lot of respect for them brothers, but I'm just giving an example of because it crystallizes the kind of climate that we in and what I have to deal with. So he's getting on me, and he goes on social media. He called the league about Russell Westbrook because Russell Westbrook was playing for the Clippers. They were going up against Dallas, and he was roughing up Luka Doncic, who obviously is a global iconic brand who happens to be white. Let's get that straight, okay? That actually matters.
Yeah, he was white on my TV.
Okay, that actually matters, right? And so other people like Matt Barnes and Stacks, Steven Jackson, and all of them jumped on it. And I had to remind cats, you watch the league. I cover the league. There's a difference. So you watch the game, you watch something going on, and it stopped there. No. I was on the phone with Adam Silver. I was on the phone with the commissioner. I was on the phone with the VP, the executive VP of basketball operations, Joe Dumas, who just got the job running the New Orleans Pelicans, right? What I was saying was, Russell, because of the rules and regulations, and because that if that had been Draymond Green, they would have suspended him. Russ, that ain't smart because you do that, you could get suspended. So I'm here thinking he was going to get suspended, and I was fearful of that. I thought he should have been ejected, but not suspended. But nevertheless, I was like, yo, and if he gets suspended, that's on him because you can't do that. That brother's a global iconic brand. It's very, very obvious what you're doing, engaging in roughhouse tactics. This is not the 90s. The NBA ain't going for that. So everybody was getting on me about that because they said he called the league. I didn't call the league to get him suspended. I called the league to find out why he wasn't suspended because my bosses said, had that been Draymond, he would have been suspended. Find out their explanation for why he didn't get suspended, why they didn't suspend him for NBA Countdown. So during NBA Countdown, I had to come back on the air. Yeah, I just spoke to the league. And this is what they said. Right. Everybody was getting on me about that. Well, you don't have to do that. I do. Right. You understand what I'm saying?
Because you cover.
I cover the league. Right. You understand what I'm saying? So you know, I remember when I was on the air with Max Kellerman doing the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. And he's sitting up there talking about, you know, the waiver, and they told me about the waiver. And I was like this, you mean this waiver? The NFL just faxed it over to me. I mean, it just emailed it to me. This is the waiver right here. General counsel, his name's right here. I just got off the phone with him. You mean that? That's what you're talking about? Why you acting like you know something I don't know?
Checkmate.
You know, it's like I'm telling you the perspectives. And so, they'll talk about this. Like, I know NFL owners. There's several NFL owners who know me by name. They know what restaurant or what bar I've met them at. They know when they've had me over for lunch. They know when they've invited me to their house to have a meeting with me. Same thing with NBA owners. Same thing with executives. Same things with coaches. You might have players and stuff like, oh man, bump this guy, bump that guy, because we living in a different age and you got a bunch of followers on social media and stuff like that. You ain't got to talk to the media. I don't get paid to talk to you. I get paid to talk about you. Now I'm happy to talk to you if you want to talk. I'm happy to cultivate a relationship to make sure that I disseminate your perspective, contextualize it properly. If that's what you want to do, I'm here for it. But if avoiding me is something that you think is going to work to your advantage, good luck with that.
Stephen A., have you had a conversation with LeBron since we've seen the incident?
No.
Would you?
If he asked, which he wouldn't. But if he asked, sure.
Why do you think that happened?
Because we don't like each other.
Right. Okay.
Period. But I want to emphasize this. I respect the hell out of him. He's the second greatest player in the history of basketball. He's a global, iconic brand. What he has achieved in his career is phenomenal. I will never lack respect for him and his accomplishments. I believe Michael Jordan is the greatest I've ever seen. I don't give a damn what anybody says. I don't say that to throw shade on him. I say that because as a basketball player, I believe Michael Jordan is to be revered. I see people respecting LeBron and being in awe of him. I saw Michael Jordan feared. Feared. I'm talking about it's next level, bro. I love the quote from John Salley in the Last Dance documentary and docuseries, where John Salley said, the plan for the bad boys, the Jordan rules, the major plan was to get him before he went airborne. Because he's not human, right? Because he wasn't human, right? That was the thinking of Michael Jordan. A stone cold killer.
Right.
And annihilate you. He came to take your soul. He didn't come just to beat you. He wanted to demoralize you in such a way that you knew better than thinking you could defeat him. And one of the moments that I bring this up, I believe the year is 1993.
I'm pretty sure if you said it was.
They're going for a three-peat. I believe so. I don't remember because I wasn't covering the NBA at that time. So the Knicks are projected to be the team coming out of the East. Chicago's the champions. Michael Jordan and the boys coming to town, and Patrick Ewing. They got Oak and they got Starks and they got all of these cats, right? And they ready. And Chicago comes to the Garden, and they are getting blown out of the building. They're losing by 30-something. Jordan gets hurt, twists his ankle or something like that, has to be helped off the court, has to go to the locker room. Game's over. It's fourth quarter. They down 30-something. You all of a sudden hear this noise. Jordan comes walking out of the locker room and walks straight to the scorer's table. Phil looks at him like, what you doing? Jordan's like, nah. Jordan going back in, limping at all. He diving for loose balls and doing all of that other stuff. And he looked at the Knicks. I'm a Knicks fan. Native New Yorker, Hollis, Queens. All right, run DMC in the crew. I grew up with Jam Master Jay, God rest his soul.
Yes,
and my late brother, they were best friends. We go back. I'm hyped about the Knicks. And I saw Jordan diving on the floor, loose ball, limping, clearly wasn't himself. And he looked at them. He like, I ain't going away. Y'all still got to come through me. I'll see you later. And I said, damn. I said, damn. I'm sad because I'm like, that bastard's going to be standing in our way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sure enough, he was. And he derailed them. New York Knicks met him in the postseason, went up 2-0, and then Jordan them came back and won 4 straight when Charles Smith had 6 different damn chances at a layup, and he kept getting blocked. His shot blocked that play. That's it. That season. Oh, don't get me started with the I'm still pissed. But that's Jordan.
Right.
So what I'm saying to you is I don't see that. And so because I don't see that, along with the greatness, the 10 scoring titles, the 6 championships unblemished, 6 NBA Finals MVPs, and everything that came with it, I don't have LeBron as my GOAT. Any player that knows me, I've been here for 30 years, find one, just one, that said, yo, Stephen A., we want to holler at you, and I didn't show up. You will not find that player in 30 years. It's never happened. I'm not running from anybody in terms of what I say. And it's for a big reason. Number one, I usually know what the hell I'm talking about. But number two, if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. And if I said something publicly that I'm wrong, I'll apologize and correct the record publicly. I will go on the air and say, yo, I'm wrong. I never forget one time when Melo, that's my dog, Melo was pissed at me because he was in the Olympics. And I reported on something with the Knicks. He was highly upset at me. It's the only time this ever happened. And he said, how come you didn't call me? I'm like, yo, man, you were in Brazil at the Olympics. He said, that never stopped you before.
Right.
Had me dead to rights. Because I'm thinking it's the Olympics. You there, and I covered the Olympics, and it's so restrictive, and you can't talk to people, you can't get close, all of this other stuff. He was absolutely right because I would have called them. You know, one of the things that I feared with anything that I said, because you was listening to me when you talk about an interview when we was off the air, when you talk about me talking with Howard Stern, whether it was Kobe, God rest his soul, or his CP3 and various others throughout the, man, there's certain dudes that scared you. Why? This was Kobe. Mother.
Say it.
Motherfucker. Call me. I saw that bullshit you just said. Call me today. You said as soon as you get off the air. Damn, I gotta call him.
Right.
I gotta call him. You know, and I gotta deal with it. CP, yo, man, yo, holla back. You see what I'm saying? Very, very simple. Very simple. If I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. A lot of people don't remember this, but I reported this when it happened. So Colin Kaepernick's taking a knee, and Colin Kaepernick is protesting police brutality and, you know, and how minorities are being treated in this country,
peacefully,
et cetera, like that, peacefully. He violated no bylaws of the NFL, violated no laws whatsoever, didn't interfere with the actual game. His kneeling was during the national anthem before the game, okay? Didn't mess with anything that happened at kickoff or beyond, did none of that, okay? And I'm bringing this up because during that time, most people didn't pay attention to this outside of the world of sports. The NFL had a television contract. Do you know that while this was going on with Colin Kaepernick or in the immediate aftermath of it, each owner one day, just sitting there minding their business, drinking a cup of tea like I am now, just chilling, were handed a check, all 32 owners, $246 million apiece for their television deal. And they complained that it wasn't $250 and blamed Kaepernick. The distraction that he was, they had calculated, cost them anywhere to $5 to $10 million apiece. So they weren't counting the 246 that they got.
Right.
They were counting the 5 to 10 that they did it. And they said, that bastard did this to us. We ain't letting him back. So I'm pointing all of this out on First Take. And even though I love my peeps, you understand what I'm saying? I'm black and I'm proud, but some of us get on my goddamn nerves sometimes, all right? Because they're not listening to what I'm saying. When I went off about it, when Jay-Z paved the way for him to get that tryout where 26 teams showed up, 18 of them sent African Americans from their player personnel department to scout him. And I was literally told before the workout, he'd have to throw the football into the stands to not have a job in 2 weeks. All he had to do was show up. And this brother didn't show up. And his girl was encouraging him not to show up. And I said, and I went on there and everybody was getting on me. I was viral because I said, it's over. It's over. His career is done in the National Football League. You'll never see him again. When he went to the high school gym or the high school football field instead of showing up at the Atlanta Falcons workout facility. Very well. Remember that. He didn't let them know until about 2 hours beforehand that he was going to have it an hour and 20 minutes away. And they didn't have the facilities, the tapes, and all of this other stuff that the Falcons facility had. And it was set up by the National Football League. And he was complaining about some waiver that they had come up with that he would have to sign. And it was a waiver that nobody else had to sign. This is the difference between people who talk and people who cover. I cover the league. Why do I bring that up? Because I'm on the phone with the general counsel for the National Football League a half hour before I went on First Take. And they said, quote, "You damn right, Stephen, he has a waiver that nobody else has." Because the league has never conducted a workout for an individual player. That's a team's job. This is an exception. So since it's us that's doing this as opposed to an individual team, because all the individual teams were scared that if they said he wasn't good enough, they would be called racist, the league said, we'll do it. And the league said, of course we had to sign a waiver. Stephen, he just sued us and we settled with him. Who sues you, settles with you, and then you going to give him a job? Of course we had a waiver for him. I went on the air and I reported all of this. And I got us. Stephen A. Man, I don't know what's wrong with Stephen A. Man. What do you mean what's wrong? I'm giving you the information. I'm telling you what they're saying, verbatim. And they ain't said anonymously, big boy. They said this general counsel of the National Football League. You tell folks we said this. They weren't hiding. This is exactly what we did. Here's why. I'm bringing all of that up to say, understand the dynamic that we're dealing with here. Owners crying over being cost $5 to $10 million when they just got a check for $246 million. Owners thinking about control and having their product. Owners who sitting there and they looking at brothers all over the place that's getting paid, especially at the quarterback position. They don't feel compelled to do anything. And the only reason they felt compelled to do something for Kaepernick is because Jay-Z said, nah, we ain't going out like that. Well, you mean we don't need them? So what you paying the other quarterbacks? You going to give him a try. I can't work with you if you ain't going to do that. That's the only reason they did that. And Kaepernick didn't show up. So that was exactly the excuse they were looking for. So now we fast forward to this. It's the latest. Owners ain't changing. What brother you see owning an NFL team?
Right.
It is what it is. That's the climate. And remember, billionaires, particularly white ones, ain't sitting in front of Big Boy or Stephen A. or anybody else having these conversations, allowing you to be privy to everything that they're thinking and what's going on and what's the mode behind their thinking. They don't give a damn. They could care less. They run the shop. And when you gave the impression that you're going to be able to have that kind of impact that could compromise their prowess, they ain't going to hesitate to remind you it ain't going down like that.
I want to go a little rapid fire with you.
Sure, I'm good.
All righty. NBA Mount Rushmore. There's been a lot of Mount Rushmore.
Michael Jordan, LeBron James. I'd say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Wow.
Those are my top three. And I struggle with the fourth. Tim Duncan's the greatest power forward to have ever lived. Kobe Bryant was the next thing to Jordan. Magic Johnson's a 5-time champion, the greatest point guard that's ever lived. We're looking at Steph Curry right now and seeing that even though he's really a shooter as opposed to a point guard, when you consider how you got to have a swivel on your neck covering this brother because he's something sensational and, you got to guard him from the moment he steps past half court. Damn, it's kind of hard. But if I had to pick, because of the competition he went against, because of the championships, because of 9 appearances in the NBA Finals in 1 decade, all of these things, I would tell you my Mount Rushmore would be Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic.
Wow. Jordan, LeBron, Kareem. So you got damn near Showtime in 3 out of the 4.
Well, listen, Kareem and Magic, yeah. LeBron, I don't think about LeBron with Showtime.
Right.
I think about Cleveland, I think about Miami.
Right.
But I don't think about that. But I get where you're coming from. I guess for me, here's the thing about Magic Johnson that you can't ignore. As great as Kareem was greater
When?
In terms of his resume, once he got with Magic. Magic brought the joy to basketball for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There were times when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a spectator. Remember, Showtime, fast break. Grab the ball, get it to Magic Johnson, kick it to fast break. Worthy on one ring, Byron Scott on another, Norm Nixon before him, Michael Cooper trailing, Michael Thompson, Kurt Rambis, all of these cats. And then when you couldn't get anything, which was rare, Kareem came trolloping up the court. Throw it to him, skyhook, boom, there you have it. And so I think about those things, and I think about the joy, and I think about how the game was changed, how the game elevated. The game, as popular as it ultimately became, it's one thing when you're feeding off of popularity that was created compared to you actually creating the popularity. And when you think about Magic with Bird, you created the popularity.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying? Jordan was so phenomenal that he actually hurt the sport because he turned it into more individualized competition. Because you looked at Jordan's greatness, and then you looked at Vince Carter coming along, and then ultimately a Kobe coming along, and cats like that. And you said, damn, he took it to another level. But when you thought about Magic, as great as Magic, as phenomenal as Magic was, you couldn't stop thinking about Worthy. You couldn't stop thinking about Cooper. You couldn't stop thinking about Byron Scott. You couldn't stop thinking about these cats because Magic was a show, and he had the kind of skill set that made everybody a part of the show. And then you looking at Bird, and you're going over to Bird, and you're like, yeah, Bird, but as great as he was, he needed McHale and Parrish and Ainge and these cats and Cedric Maxwell Cornbread to beat Magic and the Lakers. So it was a collective unit. Two polar opposites, blue collar versus Showtime, bright lights, big city sizzle versus Boston, Massachusetts, and stuff like that. Snow and cold weather versus Southern California sunshine. The LA Forum with stars and, honeys from the penthouse and, all of this other stuff to folks in Boston. So you're seeing all of this stuff. Magic did that. Yeah. Kobe won as many rings as Magic, but he won the 3 rings with Shaq in his prime, okay? And then on top of it all, he fed off of a Showtime that was established in an era before him. So even though he won as many championships and we appreciate his greatness and he's clearly top 10 and the closest thing to Jordan and all of this other stuff, he didn't do what Magic did. And that's the difference.
Are you a hater?
No, I don't think so.
Right, yeah.
I don't think so at all.
Right.
I don't think so. I said, well, listen, people could say that.
I don't think so either, to tell you.
Here's where I understand why they call me a hater. Because I don't give a shit that they think I am. That's the problem. I'm not going to go out of my way to protect myself and act like, oh, I'm not a hater, I don't got time for all of that. I'm on national television 2 hours a day, 10 hours a week live. I work a minimum of 45 weeks a year, okay? That's 450 hours of television minimum. Doesn't count SportsCenter, doesn't count NBA Countdown, doesn't count all of these other obligations that I have. I am quite sure you can find tapes of me being critical.
Oh, yeah.
I can find just as many, if not more, of me being complimentary. But the real thing that pisses me off is when we got some of these weak ass cats talking about he's hurting the brothers. Well, let me ask you a question, big boy. When Errol Spence stepped into the boxing ring and fought Terrence Crawford, and Terrence Crawford bust his ass, right? I said Errol Spence got his ass kicked. I was shocked by that, stunned.
And the way it looked and happened.
I picked Crawford to win by decision.
But
I had no idea he would destroy him like that. That was such an ass kicking. I actually highly recommended that Errol Spence Jr. be allowed to fight for at least a year. That was an ass kicking, okay? I'm not using that as a literal example, but what I'm saying to is you have people who would say, he dogging the brother. Well, what the hell am I saying about Terrence Crawford?
Right.
And ain't he a brother? See, the nonsense that comes out of our mouths sometimes is utterly ridiculous. If LeBron went up against Ant-Man last night, dropped 38, was balling, but when it was time to close, it was Ant-Man and Jaden McDaniels that closed the deal. Aren't they brothers? When Steph Curry sits up there and drops 50 on you, okay, and he busts your ass, and I point out that he busted your ass, Am I not celebrating him while pointing out that you got your ass busted? Last time I checked, that's competition. And if brothers are going up against brothers, how am I disrespecting the brothers when I'm applauding the brother too? It's like you're looking at people. It's like, but do you understand how nonsensical that is? It's like, wait a minute here. I'm pointing this out. Oh, by the way, I don't get into your personal business. Don't end up in the police blotters. I've seen plenty of things that didn't involve the police blotters that I could have talked about that may not have been flattering about any athlete. These brothers know I turn my back, walk away, and mind my damn business. I don't play that game. It's not my concern. Don't do nothing illegal in front of me. Please don't get me wrong.
Right.
And don't you know what I'm saying? And don't do, don't get yourself in the police blotters. But I'm not about that life. I'm about talking about the game. And I'm celebrating the game. And then you got cats that their definition of hating is when you're talking about the game and being critical of the things that you see. Well, it matters if you're never applauding what you see. But if you're applauding what you see when you see it, but you're critical of things when you see it, that's covering the game. And it amazes me how people could go to the water coolers or hang out with their boys. They could be at the barbershop or anywhere else, and they talking shit about everything they see. But we go on TV and do it. You just hating.
Right.
Really? So you can do it, but I get paid to do it and shouldn't do it. Make sense. Make that make sense for me. It doesn't. So you got to have tough skin, and you have some people who don't say anything about it. You have other people who would try to defend it. And then you have people like me who's quick to tell you, kiss my ass. But in the same breath, I also know that as you climb the charts in any chosen profession, the higher you climb, the more you expose your ass.
Yeah.
And as a result, people going to take swipes at you. When you mow the grass, the snakes come out. And so when knowing that and understanding that that's just a reality that comes with it, I understand it. And it's just reaffirmation that, I'm one of the best to do it. And so I know that. I know what comes with it, and that's just the way it goes. You accept it, and that's cool.
Just as a spectator.
Yeah.
And if you could, which I'm pretty sure you damn could, but just as a spectator, not covering anything. Game 7 of the NBA Finals, World Series Game 7, or Super Bowl. If you could just go and sit down and watch one of those, which one would you pick?
Oh, man. I'm not going to say the World Series because pitching can ruin everything. Like, there could be 9 guys on a baseball field. But if Shohei Ohtani or back in the day, Randy Johnson or Nolan Ryan or somebody on the hill, they can ruin everything because they could just strike out every damn body. You know what I mean? And so you just kind of ruin it. You're watching the pitcher instead of the whole game. So I wouldn't pick baseball. Football, the Super Bowl, what makes that so special is that football has turned its sport into an event. So you're watching it with family and friends. Who watches the Super Bowl by themselves?
Right.
If you don't have family and friends around, you'll go to a bar, you'll go to a sports bar or something like you got to watch the Super Bowl with company.
You watch the Super Bowl, you never watch.
You can't watch it by yourself because you're feeding off everybody.
And then when people that I work with, they like, there's a concert and they're playing football around.
Yeah. But the football can suck. The game can suck too because, like, for example, when New England beat the Rams. It was like 13-3 or something like this. So I would tell you my choice would be the NBA because a Game 7 in an NBA, it took something to get to that Game 7, which means both teams won 3 games, which means you're pretty evenly matched. And you're evenly matched. It's a Game 7. It's a championship on the line. You got 48 minutes. And everybody leaving it all out there. This is it. You understand? Demoralization ain't kicking in. I don't recall teams being good enough to get to a Game 7 of an NBA Finals, and then the Game 7 was a blowout. But I've seen lopsided contests in the Super Bowl. I've seen a pitcher dominate a World Series game. You don't see that lopsided kind of competition in basketball in a Game 7 of a Finals, and that's why I would go with that.
Do you ever trip off of you being Stephen A. Smith?
No. I lost my job, man. In 2009, I was unemployed. I was unemployed for a year. My man Rashawn McDonald, who used to be the executive producer for Steve Harvey's morning show, was kind enough to bring me on. My man Doc Winter right here next to me. Even though I couldn't even recognize him for crying out, I ain't seen him so damn long. But brought me on just to make sure that I didn't disappear. And then I got a job with Fox Sports Radio, and I was there for a year. And then ESPN came calling back, but even when they came calling me back, they restricted me to radio. So essentially from May of 2009 to April of 2012, I wasn't on television because I was being essentially blackballed. And so to be a black man and to endure that, for lack of a better word, there are scars that stay with you. You know, it's nice to be in the news, to sign my new contract. That's really nice. But it also reminded me of when I didn't have that, when I was a new father, unemployed, wondering where my next check was coming from. Usually people refer to that when they're kids. This happened to me 15 years ago in my 40s. And so when you go through something like that, you hold on to that shit. And, you know, one of the things that I used to pride myself in saying when I watched cats like KG, Kevin Garnett and others, Kobe and all of them, cats that made it but played like they were starving. And that's how I work. And anybody that knows me knows that about me. Direct deposit is a very, very big thing to me. Because once that check gets deposited in my bank account and the paperwork is established and I know it's going to be there every week or every 2 weeks, whatever it is, I don't think about the money. I think about performance. So I wake up every day and I roll out understanding what I've established for myself as a name, as a brand, as a person who's been successful in this business. People calling me the Black Howard Cosell, God rest his soul, and stuff like that. And I don't view it as I've arrived. I view it as I got to live up to that shit every day. And so you do that by being addicted and married to the work and the process, not the finish line. Because to me, there is no finish line. I got my new contract with ESPN. I did exactly what I did with every other contract I signed. I signed it, went out to dinner, had a mini celebration, and the next day I woke up and said, what I'm going to do to earn my next contract. And in this particular contract is different because ESPN before, you know, I'm an employee all of these years. And so they got all your rights and all of this other stuff. My negotiations with ESPN took 275 days.
Jesus Christ.
And most of that time wasn't even about the money because we had agreed to the money in October. But I signed the deal in March. Why? Because I wanted my rights. So when I walked away, I own my podcast rights. I own my audio rights. I own my YouTube channel and my YouTube show. I own my production company. Yeah, you might have a first look for 30 days.
Right.
But if you don't want it, I can go anywhere else. I can literally, as we speak, do First Take in the morning and CNN or Fox News at night. Right now. I never had that freedom before. And so for the first time in my life, in my career, unlike athletes and others who have been blessed and fortunate enough to find themselves in a position where they can have some level of independence. When you didn't have those abilities, you grow up as an employee in the business. And once you're an employee, it's very, very hard for you to separate yourself and to gather that independence. Because once they have you as an employee, they ain't trying to relinquish that level of control. And so that's something that I worked very hard, very diligently to acquire. And for the first time in my life, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman and a business owner. And I never, ever, ever had it like that before. So at 57, because of my man in large part, formerly of 10X Health, now the Ultimate Human, Gary Brecker, saved my life and really, really helped the rest. I mean, I'm in the best health I've been in 30 years.
Yeah, when you got out the car, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I'm in the best health I've been in 30 years. And to be 57 and to have a new lease on life and freedom, I can't even put into words what that means to me right now. And the beauty of it is that ESPN knows it. It was not Disney knows it. it was something that they were very reluctant to let happen, but they knew I was willing to leave if it didn't happen. But with all of the noise that goes on in that industry, the bosses still call me and they're like, we trust you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we trust you. So it's always a conversation. There's always communication. And, you know, I've got relationships with Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, Dana Walton, and, you know, right on down to everybody else, Jimmy Pitaro, the president, and Burke Magnus, the president of content, Dave Roberts, etc. The power brokers in this industry, not just at that network that I work for, but various other networks know me by name, know my face. We sit down, we talk, we get on the phone, we talk, we have lunch and dinner together, and I'm not treated as just an employee anymore. I'm treated as a business. So the world has just opened up for me, and it's kind of strange and crazy to be sitting here at age 57, and I'm feeling like I'm 27, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. I ain't gonna exaggerate in that physical part. I do feel a little older than 27.
Right.
But you know, but 37 is more like it. But 27 in every other category, mentally and emotionally, in terms of the opportunities that lie before me. And I'm very, very grateful for that, but I got a lot of work to do and a lot to prove. And when you got work to do and you got to prove, you ain't got time to be resting on your laurels thinking, yo, I'm Stephen A. You know, I'm big boy. I've arrived.
Right.
We know it, but you gotta earn it. You gotta validate it.
Yeah, and my question was coming from more humble, like almost like I can't believe this shit. Not that we don't deserve it,
right?
But mine was just coming from like damn, like I can't, you know.
Well, the humility.
I'm coming from being homeless, having a star, you know, homeless to Hollywood, having a star on it, that trips me out.
I will tell you what it is too, man. You know, because I mean, I go back and forth between New York and LA because of business all the time, and you know, I pay attention to politics. I pay attention to what's going on. So I pay attention to my taxes because I'm a fiscal conservative and I'm a social liberal. I can't stand high taxes, brother. Yeah. I don't know how people live out here. I mean, I told that to Governor Gavin Newsom, what the hell's up with these taxes, man? This is ridiculous, right? So I went ahead and I bought me a crib in Florida. You know, there ain't no state income taxes, right? But with that being said, and my assistant Sumatra found me, she went out there and she went down there and found me a beautiful house and all that stuff, right? So I go down there and I wake up, man, and I think that the closest I came to it was, I would tell you it was about 3 months ago. I wake up and it's like December. And, you know, my family's in New York and stuff, which is where I am at half the time. And, you know, this is a snowstorm. You know, I'm in Florida. It's 80 degrees. You know, and I'm in my bedroom, and outside my bedroom is palm trees. You'd have thought I was on vacation in the islands. That's how it looked, outside in my backyard. That's when I said, yeah, this is a little bit different. I can't believe I'm experiencing this right now. So you do have those moments, but it never leaves me that it could be snatched from me in a heartbeat, and I just refuse to let that happen.
And you continue to make deposits.
Right.
And that's what I tell people, man, deposit on whatever it is, deposits in your health, deposit in your healing, your spirit, whatever it is, bro. I tell them make deposits.
No doubt.
And you got to be extremely careful because anybody here that knows you can get paid every week monetarily, and you can put those deposits in.
Yes.
And then all that shit could be gone in one withdrawal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have to do that. You got to live, and, you know, you can't take it with you when you're gone. You can certainly leave behind a legacy, but you want to enjoy some of it yourself. But it's important to define your level of enjoyment. You know, what is enjoyment for you? Enjoyment for me is being around loved ones.
Yeah, man.
And seeing them happy because of what I've been blessed and fortunate enough to be able to provide for them.
Mine is watching my wife in the shower when she don't know I'm looking.
You know what?
Yeah.
That's a big damn deal.
Yeah.
There's plenty of husbands that don't want to look at their wives.
Yeah.
So the fact that you want to look at yours, your wife, props to her. Props to her.
This is her in the shower right here.
No, don't show it to me. Don't show it to me.
Stephen A. Smith, my brother, I thank you for your time, man. Time is very precious. That's the one thing we don't get back.
No doubt.
Thank you for your time, man. Thank you for coming into the neighborhood.
Man, the honor was all mine.
God willing, we'll see you again, bro.
No doubt. I'm around anytime, man.
All right. Remember you said that. I'll see you Tuesday.
All right.
Or you know what? I'll see you through the playoffs. And we'll be greater later. Stephen A. Smith, thank you for coming into the neighborhood, my brother.
My pleasure.
All righty now, Big Boys Neighborhood.